Welcome back. We are joined by Shalane Coit from Mesa County Crimestoppers and Commissioner Janet Rowland with the Mesa County Commissioners. How are y'all?
We're great.
Good.
Happy Monday.
Yes.
Happy good week last week of April.
Of course, but April's been a great month specifically for one of the reasons that y'all are here. It is Child Abuse Prevention Month. So first, either Shalane or Janet, kind of tell us a little bit about that month.
Yeah, well, the whole idea behind it is that we have a month focusing on how can we best help families and what can we do in our valley to support families, because we're trying to avoid child abuse in our community, which is one of the reasons that I brought my guests along, because not only is Janet a really great county commissioner, but she's also this superb advocate for children, and she has some great information to share with us about how we can best do that in our community. Because, you know, Crime Stoppers, we're trying to stop crime and not just solve it. And so if we can be on the front end of helping families and removing some situations that maybe cause some of this, it's better for our community. So why don't you tell us a bit about crime, how to prevent child abuse and what we can do in our community?
I think it's important to know that most people don't wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to abuse my child today, with the exception of sexual abuse, which is much more premeditated and there's grooming. But when physical abuse and neglect, it's often families that are just stressed and overwhelmed. And so I always like to suggest first try and support the family. And if that doesn't work, then you can report it to the authorities. And support can look like a lot of different things. If a family's overwhelmed, maybe it's a matter of offering to keep the kids for a couple of hours where they can stay home, get caught up on paying bills or taking a nap or whatever they might need to be able to get themselves back in that position where they can safely parent their kids. Maybe it's bringing them a casserole or something like that. It could be something as simple and silly as seeing a child having a temper tantrum in the grocery store, which we've experienced. You haven't experienced yet, but you will. And just to make a joke of it, be light of it. Say by the time they're 27, they don't do that anymore. It'll pass. Don't worry about that. You know, kind of humanize it and make it, just make it so they understand everybody struggles as a parent.
Yeah. So if somebody is watching this right now and says, you know, maybe I need a break, whether it's, you know, an hour or a day or something like that, what should that parent do? Yeah,
and oftentimes some parents are isolated and so they don't have family that can help them. So they should feel empowered to ask a neighbor, ask a friend, could you give me an hour just so I can get my sanity back? If that's not available, there are lots of programs in our community that can support families. The Hilltop Family Resource Center has quite a few options to help parents. Aerial Clinical Services has things as well, 211. There's a lot of programs. Probably the best thing for people to do is go to Grand Valley Connects. They just go to grandvalleyconnects.com. They'll text you, email you, call you on the phone, whatever is that person's preference, and they have a plethora of information that's available. What I like about Grand Valley Connects, though, is it's not just here's a list of parenting classes, but it really works with that parent or someone who's calling on behalf of the parent to find what really works for them, what they might need. Is there a cost? How can we help you pay for it? And really kind of break down the barriers that might prevent them from getting that service.
Yeah, that was actually what I was going to ask is there a cost to something like Grand Valley Connects or Aerial Clinical Services? First of all, there's a lot of resources in our community, as you mentioned, and I feel like, you know, we kind of forget that we have those resources specifically because we're just such a small community. But with those resources that you were mentioning, if there is a financial barrier, there's always ways around that, right?
And Grand Valley Connects is 100% free. There's no cost to it at all. At all. So that's really good. Some of the services, there is a small cost. Some of them they're not. Some of them are Medicaid providers, and so if you're on Medicaid, they cover it. Most of them that are really trying to help struggling families are going to figure out a way to help them get that service if they have $0. They'll help them figure it out.
Yeah. And how has a month like this, specifically tailored to Child Abuse Prevention Month, April, how has a month like this, you know, kind of really helped this goal of preventing child abuse?
I think it's things like this. Actually bringing awareness to our community of programs that are out there and resources and giving them ideas. So like if you're a family and again, you're a mom or dad and you're stressed and there's a lot going on and that can build up. But if you think about, what if I actually had a swap day with another family where they took my kids for a couple hours and I took their kids for a couple of hours, and I have that to look forward to so I can get through what I'm dealing with today. Or I can get in touch with grandvalleyconnects.com and I can talk to them or text with them about what are resources that are available that I could utilize in my situation?
Yeah.
And so that's what we're trying to do, is to bring more awareness to what is in our community so people don't feel like they are all alone.
Yeah.
And when they are stressed out or under pressure, that they take it out on who's closest to them.
Yeah.
And we don't want that. We want our children safe. And so that's why we give supportive information, but also along with support is the second side of this, is report. And so if you did report a family to Department of Human Services, what would happen? Because sometimes people won't report because they're so afraid that they're going to do that and someone's going to swoop in and take the children.
Yeah.
So what really does happen?
That's often what people think, that if I make a call and I'm sure what really happened, then someone's going to come and just remove the kids immediately. On average, looking at the last year's statistics, we get about 350 calls to the Child Protection Hotline. Only about 80 to 120 of those
And that's per month, right?
Yes, right,
Yes.
per month.
Yeah.
And only about 80 to 120 actually reach the level of something that needs to be investigated. Sometimes there's not direct information, or sometimes it's just not, it's not child abuse. It doesn't reach that level. And of those 80 to 120 that are investigated, it was around 20 to 55 that actually were confirmed, where we said, yes, child abuse or neglect happened. And of that, it was about, on average, 5 to 20 that actually were removed from their home and placed in foster care. And even those in foster care, about 2/3 of them were placed with family. So you go quite a bit from that 350 calls to how many kids are actually placed in foster care. And in between that gap, if they're confirmed, but if they don't go into foster care, DHS is going to provide that family with support.
Yep.
Or maybe they can't confirm it, but they'll say inconclusive, at risk, and they think there's still some issues with this family, so we're going to provide them services if they want them.
And one of the biggest things, as you mentioned, is awareness. And this is one of those things, this month is very good for awareness. So representation matters, awareness matters, and these are the things that will make a difference. Thank you all so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having
Great.
us.
Thank
Of
you.
course, you're so welcome. We'll be back after this.